Well, welcome to our Bible session today. We have been looking at the history of Israel. Remember, Israel it's like a road map or guiding to things in front of us. It's very important for us to keep our eye on them and watch them because as things change there, things changes across the face of the earth. We see that today. Israel's at the center of everything. Now, we left off with the covenant at Mount Sinai. That was the given of the Ten Commandments, and then we're starting at the wandering in the desert. Now, we know that they did not do what God had asked them to do. They, sent the 12 spies in, and the 10 of them came back and said, we can't do it. 2 of them said, well, God's going to go with us, we can do it, but the 10 went out. So the wandering in the desert lasted 40 years, which was tied to the lack of faith because God had told them he was going to be with them. And their disobedience among the Israelite people. Now, the generation that left Egypt did not live to enter the promised land, and a new generation had to be prepared for the conquest of Canaan. So during those wanderings in the wilderness, the Israelites had faced all sorts of different trials, including enemy attack and internal conflicts. It seemed like their internal conflicts was happening constantly. But despite all the difficulties, this period became a time for the forming nationally and religiously as far as their identity was concerned. Now the people became more united and their faith was strengthened through these trials and difficult times. Now the Bible, the biblical book of Leviticus and Numbers, describes the law, rituals, and organizations of the tribe, which also emphasizes the importance of the holiness and devotion to God. So we see next that Joshua, leader of the new generation. Now we know that Moses had not done what God had told him to do completely, so he was not allowed to go into the land of promise, the land of Canaan. So after his death, Joshua became a new leader of the Israelites. He had prepared the people for this conquest of Canaan and became a symbol of determination and devotion to God. So his faith in God inspired the people, and they were ready to take the land promised to their ancestors. Keep in mind, this is not the old generation. This is the new ones, and they're ready to go in and do that. So we find next the conquest of Canaan. Now the conquest of Canaan is described in the book of Joshua. It includes a series of battles and conquests that lay the foundation for the settlement of the Israelites in this land. The first significant battle we know occurred at Jericho, where the city's wall fell after the Israelites had marched around it and then blew trumpets and shouted. And as instructed by God, it was a different kind of strategy. It was the kind of strategy you don't see in a war. Today, you would find that most of your leaders, your generals and stuff, would say, well, that just doesn't sound right. It sounds foolish. But it worked because God had sent them in there and told them what to do. But immediately after Jericho, the Israelites faced some difficulties. You see, there's a place called Ai where they suffered defeat, and it was due to the sin of a man by the name of Achan, who took from the conquered city things he wasn't supposed to. Remember, God said, they to conquer it, but they're not to steal, take away, hide anything, and he did. What this showed was that obedience to God and adherence to his commandments are necessary for success then and now. We see here next the distribution of the land. After the successful conquest, Joshua organized the distribution, and he did the sort of like the overseeing of the land that had been conquered among the 12 tribes of Israel. Each tribe would receive its territory, which helped establish stability and organization among the people. This process also contributed to the formation of these new communities and cultural traditions in different regions. And of course, it was done all according to the way God had it set up to be done. So all of this was done according to plans that God I'm not sure he told Moses. I think he probably did, but what he had told Joshua to do. And then we see spiritual legacy of the Exodus and conquest. The Exodus and conquest of Canaan had this profound impact on the Jewish identity and faith. We know that these events became a symbol of deliverance and showed truly God's care for his people. Now, they had actually laid the groundwork for the formation of the Jewish legal system and rituals, as well as the festivals and the foundations for the festivals like Passover, which commemorates liberation from slavery. So it was an important time. These, we see these celebrations and we wonder these people celebrated a lot over nothing. Well, no, there was reasons for those. Also, this time established important principles such as the necessity of observing the commandments, devotion to God, and accountability for one's action. Now, these ideas form the basis of the Jewish history and religion, continuing to influence the generations that were yet to come. So as I start bringing this to a conclusion, we see all of these things meant something. There was a purpose for everything. God doesn't do anything without a purpose or a reason. So as we look at this in closing, the Exodus and conquest of Canaan are probably among the most significant events in the history of ancient Israel. So to say that is to say that they symbolize not only the physical liberation of the Israelites from slavery, but also the spiritual revival and strengthening of their identity. So these events laid the foundation for the future of the Jewish people and their connection to God, leaving an indelible mark on human history. I'll get that word out in a minute. So all of these things played an important role of who Israel is. We may not see it here in our country, but our country is following plans that God has laid out. You are following plans that God has laid out. That's why it's important for us to be in touch with him. Watch Israel, know what he's doing, study his word, pray, let the Holy Spirit guide us. All of that is important for us to accomplish the things that God has set us here to do. Well, God bless, and I will see you next time.